We entered 2 cars into the Daytona 24 Hours, and this is the story of the GT3 car. The race is really about avoiding accidents, incidents behind you, incidents in front of you, avoiding lap traffic, and being careful exiting the pit lane. Thankfully, the chaos didn't involve us. Ashley drove a great first stint to put us in a solid position before James took over. Unfortunately, James hit a curb there and had a slight spin, but then worked hard to gain back positions. Meanwhile, cars all around us were still crashing. We gave the car back to Sean. He took on the third stint. And he had to avoid some faster cars. Meanwhile, this was a problem that happened often. And second place put it in the wall. And there was also a corner there. Thankfully, no one got cleaned up. Sean just kept it out of trouble, even though things got a little close here. There was definitely an art form to letting the faster cars through, and hoping they'd be patient enough not to take silly actions. Yes, even more chaos. And Sean handed it back to Ashley as we were looking into the top 15. There were so many dangers, you never knew what was around the corner. And Ashley just focused on keeping it on the grey stuff and staying out of trouble. As the sun set, Sean got back in. And up the front and the back, there was still carnage everywhere. This one tried to jump. As cars kept pitting, we kept gaining positions. Here the car in front of us took some damage. And at night time, Sean just kept making up spots. Ben got in the car now, and we're in the top 10, and soon we took 8 in class. One of the rare passes for position on the road. The top end was still managing to find chaos, and these 2 cars tried to become one. And that's not how you get traffic out the way. We're just trying to keep it clean, keep out of chaos. Although this car, who was a couple laps down, decided it wasn't allowed. They fought us very hard. And things started to get a little bit close for comfort. Every time we thought they left the door open to pass, they'd come across and block us. And this pushed us back into some slower cars behind us. And unfortunately this happened. A little tap on the rear unsettled the car through the fast kink and into the wall. All the other fast cars had backed off through here, but this one was determined. And unfortunately that left us with some damage. Thankfully not a meatball. It did seem like all the faster cars were a little bit grumpy now. And we couldn't wait to get into the pits. Dan took over and did his first stint. And in such a long race, sometimes you need to know when to just tow and not do more damage. Dan just focused on keeping out of trouble. And also ended up in a little bit of a battle here, trying to hold off 7th place. And yes, sometimes you had to lap faster cars, but it's better if you don't run into the back of them. Adam took over, and 4th place put it in the wall. And this gave us a chance to take 6th. As Adam just made a nice clean stint and handed the car back over to Dan. Meanwhile, there was carnage everywhere, as cars decided this was a new car park, while this car decided the pit lane was also part of the racetrack. We were then fighting for 5th. And things were getting very close. Meanwhile, 3rd place car had some damage, and again, didn't tow, so had some more damage, as Dan took advantage of this mistake. But they came back, and it was a good battle. Eventually though, we lost the spot. And then Dan took a little trip across the infield. No damage done though. Adam took back over and resumed the battle. He was stalking him, looking for that P4. And then he made a move down the inside. And yep, passing maneuver with a lap faster car coming through meant we had to back out. So Adam had to do it all again. And the move kept on going. But eventually, P4 was ours. As the race continued, the carnage just increased. Adam handed the car back over to Sean. We got a little tap here. Meanwhile, the cars ahead of us kept having incidents to help us out, as we battled to unlap ourselves. And then a similar looking incident happened to P2. Ben got back in the car and had to deal with traffic. But we did manage to put a lap over P6. And then 3rd place got a little tap here to let us close the gap a bit more. We'll comfortably P4 and not much was happening. And then on my in-lap, everything went wrong. Yet that car just stopped on the racing line, and we had some more damage. So, handed it back to James as we hit the halfway mark. And James did his best to just avoid all the dramas, which some of the faster cars did not do a good job of. Ben got back in, hoping for a much more quieter stint. Again, sometimes you just need to get towed. As the 4th place car ahead of us got smashed off the road. We were back to P4. Even the cars that were just behind us were starting to take damage. And James took over, with us looking pretty comfortable. It was still tricky out there as the sun was starting to threaten to come through, and these 2 spins here on P3 gave us a podium spot. Although we had to completely stop here to avoid these 2 prototypes. Adam got back in the car and on cold tyres unfortunately hit the wall. But he pushed on, trying to make up for lost ground in a car that wasn't handling as well. And P2 here got a black and orange flag for this contact. All this meant we actually went back up to P3. It seemed like this was the witching hour. Every car seemed to be making contact with something. As we put Dan back in and hit the 2/3 mark. A few of our competitors were starting to get feisty even though they weren't on the lead lap together. And Dan just kept it on the road and helped us gain more positions. Ashley got back in as these two prototypes here tried to join at the hip. Ashley's next stint was solid and quiet, and the sun then came up with Sean back in the car, and again cars were going everywhere. Unfortunately, one of these incidents was right in front of us, and we had nowhere to go. The damage was significant enough that we decided to pit, and James got back in. After leading for so long and having an 8-lap lead, suddenly first place put it in the wall twice. As we worked on getting back to P4. And then P2 also put it in the wall. Dan got back in with 5.5 hours to go. And again, the focus was on just trying to keep it clean and do consistent laps. which Dan did really well. Gave it back to Adam, who managed to avoid this spin. It was almost deja vu. In a familiar pattern, faster cars hitting the slower one. And look, first place, again, into the wall. It was all going wrong for them. Ben got back in the car as more incidents started leaving less competition, and it was a very quiet stint for a change for Ben. The top two were still having lots of mistakes and incidents. Ash's final stint was again pretty quiet for him, but first place again got into another large crash, as Ash battled away with the revved up racing car. We put James back in, and now third place car had another incident. And we were up to P4, now ahead of them. The time was running out, and we're still a few laps behind the next challenger, with P5 closing in. Just to make their day a little bit worse, more contact here for the former leader, which made us safe from them from behind, as we gave the car for Adam for the final stint. Second place had a pretty nasty incident here, but our focus was all on trying to catch now P4, who didn't pit. The gap was super close, and then this happened. A drive-through. Too many penalties. We're back up to fourth. Only a few laps to go, and we just managed to hold them off. P4 for the team. What a 24 hours.